And welcome back again, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of the Lost Podcast of Titan, a father and son journey through the sci-fi series, where this time we're going to just sit around and talk about everything we have seen. The horrors. The horrors. Like watching a snail crawl across the razor's edge. The sheer audacity, the brilliance of it.
It's like being hit in the forehead with a diamond bullet.
God. So we are doing a retrospective of season 2 of Star Trek, the original series. We started this journey bright-eyed with many hopes, many lofty ideals of what we would be going through. And I hate to say this, but season 2 has disillusioned me. How about you?
Yeah, not just this season, but overall, I've been learning that going over the episodes like this, I've had a lot of my original perceptions and memories just thrown onto the ground and stomped on.
Yes, I mean,
but I still do not deny the impact that Star Trek has had.
Oh no, I'm just I'm just saying that if I was in charge, I would have canceled the fucking shit out of this show at season 2.
Well, it pretty much got to that. It was almost, on the threshold of that point.
I want to see the letter writing campaign. Like, how massive was it that it actually saved this? Because, ladies and gentlemen, there is some dog shit in this season. Like,
yes, but you have to look at what else was available back then, and
which I understand. Yes, but like, stop letting Gene Roddenberry write. As a matter of fact, just keep him away from the set as much as possible. Tell him to work on another pilot.
Do not let Shatner direct or write. Do not let Jonathan Frakes write or direct or write.
Well, I mean, Shatner hasn't written or wrote or written, or you know what I mean, directed or wrote anything at this point. But I mean, so let's just get into this. He wrote, Gene Roddenberry wrote The Omega Glory and Bread and Circuses, as well as This Time on Earth, but focusing on The Omega Glory and Bread and Circuses. This is the stupidest fucking thing I have seen, and I have seen The Alternative Factor.
Well, when you're the boss...
Yes, but someone needs to come up to him and say, "Sir, this is fucking stupid." The Omega Glory ends with, they're not on Earth. This isn't like a time warp episode. And yet, they have an exact copy of the Declaration of Independence, or is it the Bill of Rights? Is it
the Declaration of Independence?
The Declaration of Independence. And word for word, how did
in the same writing style.
In the same writing style. Like, Spock should be in a corner, rocking back and forth. Murmuring to himself, his hair slowly going white. It's insane. Like, I can suspend my disbelief. I really can. But I cannot suspend it while I'm being slapped repeatedly.
Yeah, having a healthy suspension of belief is necessary for getting, if you want to watch a lot of science fiction.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
There's just also, it seems like, I understand that they went cattle call with their writers. Fine. But they need to screen them better, or maybe pay somebody who is actually competent to continue to write. Like, I wasn't that impressed with City on the Edge of Forever, but at the very least, it was a competent episode. And so,
Yeah.
and we know Harlan Ellison is more than willing to take a paycheck. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Have you ever seen the first episode of Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea that I
No.
ever saw was also the first thing I've ever seen. I hadn't even read Harlan Ellison by that time, but that was the first acquaintance I had with Harlan Ellison.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know he had the name Cordwainer Bird as the writer on the episode, so that I did not know the meaning of Cordwainer Bird. But yeah, it was pretty bad.
Oof. But I mean, there should be some Cordwainer birds here in Star Trek.
I think it was lucky that Star Trek managed to get Ellison at all, considering.
Well, they were willing to pay him.
Yeah.
I don't think Ellison really cared what he was working on, as long as A, he was getting paid, which was the most important thing, and B, he was able to express himself in some artistic manner.
Okay. I don't automatically want to think that it's just the money with Ellison, because he always struck me as possessing principles. Yeah, welcome to our season 2 retrospective,
yes.
by the way.
Where I don't think Harlan Ellison wrote a single episode. No, he did not. But anyway, back to Harlan Ellison. But I don't think his principles were he liked his work and he wanted no one to really fuck with his work. But he was willing to apply his work to whoever was willing to pay him to apply it. Like, he wrote for goddamn Voyage Under the Sea. Like, I mean, come on.
Right. Now I'm curious, did he get paid more for City on the Edge of Forever than anyone else got paid for writing a Star Trek episode?
I'm willing to bet he probably got more on the back end residuals of being able to sell the fact that he wrote City on the Edge of Forever. I mean, it got him a Hugo, right?
I think the episode got a Hugo. I don't know if he himself got the Hugo for it.
Harlan Ellison Hugo Awards. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Gripping audio. Okay, so let me see. Works awards. Bam.
Supposedly he's won more Hugos than any other science fiction writer.
City on the Edge of Forever for Best Dramatic Presentation, 1968.
Boy and His Dog, 1976.
Oh, he won three of them in 1968. Mr. Ellison, sit down. Let somebody else win some of the awards. Although, look at this. It's really not fair. He won Best Short Story for I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. Okay, that's fine. Yes. Best Dramatic Presentation, City on the Edge of Forever, and then Dangerous Visions, 1960. Like, okay, all right, fine. You can have your 3 fucking awards.
Well, I have heard him say
yes.
that, the reason he took on some of the assignments, as he himself pointed out, if you can sell one television script a year and just, live kind of within your means, that frees him up to just spend the rest of the year writing, and he's not obligated to go out and prostitute himself on Hollywood and Vine.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's
fine. That's why you have some people that you would consider above this sort of thing. They will go and do television ad, because the payment from one television advertisement can just rake in cash.
Listen, one of my favorite little guilty pleasures is to go on YouTube and look at American celebrities in Japanese commercials, which is a great way to kill a few hours.
I gotta go look at that.
You have to see Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Daijo Buoy commercials, and you have to see Tommy Lee Jones in the Boss Coffee commercials. But also if you just type in American celebrities, Japanese commercials, you will get a magical wonderland of, like, holy shit, what the fuck are they doing? And I'm not talking about one-off commercials where they're on set for like 5 seconds, turn to the camera, smile, flash the product. No, I'm talking, these are obvious multi-year returning back again and again with a growing storyline behind the products and the characters that they are playing. Uh, like I think Arnold Schwarzenegger is something like a quasi caffeine superhero. And like Tommy Lee Jones is an alien trying to learn how to be a human, I guess. But yeah, it's really it's kind of just amusing.
I think fondly of the Snickers commercials where you had various celebrities having to eat a Snickers bar and because you turn into a real so and so, insert term when you're hungry.
Well, yeah, but it's like for 5 seconds. But anyway, so yeah, so the writer's problem in season 2, it's just who the fuck is approving the scripts? I mean, I understand.
Well, I think
we
like it
can't
was
have anyone.
I think it was Roddenberry's second in command.
Well, then
Let's see. Mark Daniels, Joseph Pevney are your major culprits here.
because oh Lord, someone needed to tell him no, because the season itself wasn't great, but the stinkers, if they were removed, could have salvaged the season. Just it could have just.
I would have liked to have seen the script ideas that were turned down.
Oh, I don't. There's only so much horror I could actually take.
No, I'm wondering if some of them would actually have been better than what we ended up with. Some gems that were poo-pooed at.
Well,
or poo-pooed on.
There's also the problem where they obviously had to continue shooting on the back lots, so they had to keep finding scripts that didn't deal with the advanced civilizations or alien content. Like, we only had a few episodes of the Klingons, and we had like no instance of the Romulans that didn't just simply reuse footage.
Right. Here's where you learn the hard way how much budget affects production. Money was just not there the way it was for first season, and you're going to see it get worse in third season.
Oof.
Yeah,
I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah, even not just in Star Trek, but in all the other franchises. I mean, all the other variations of the franchise. You're going to find that preference would be given to scripts that could all be filmed on the Enterprise set, which didn't require elaborate outside sets or stuff like that.
Right.
Things like that.
And the thing is that it got boring and old after multiple times of let's go to this planet. Oh look, there's a primitive civilization that has been contaminated by a Starfleet officer. Let us continue to try and not contaminate them, making things exponentially harder for ourselves, even though the cat's already out of the bag.
Yeah.
Like what is it? What was it? Patterns of Force. Like I'm sorry, the asshole already contaminated the civilization.
Right.
It's done. It's over. You just open fire. Same with what was the other one? Oh crap.
A piece of the action.
Piece of the Action. That's it. Even though that's a fantastic episode, but yeah, I'm serious. But let's go back to the Omega Glory, for example, where it was a fairly dull episode, and then it just completely shat the bed in the last a minute and a half. Where, for those of you who don't remember, I don't blame you. It's a primitive civilization story. Kirk, they all come down, blah, blah, blah. And there are holy words, etc., etc. And for some reason or another, Kirk becomes the new shaman, and he has to speak the words. And so I forget who it was, but someone's reading from this paper to Kirk, and all of a sudden Kirk realizes he's reading the Declaration of Independence. Now,
Ye pepnista. Oh,
what?
the do ron the do ron.
No. But the thing is, they could have salvaged the message by don't make it the Declaration of Independence. Don't do the whole mumbling words where it's taking Kirk a few moments to realize he's saying we hold these truths to be self at blah 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 blah. Have
Which
it
is
just
a big
be
jump for Kirk,
which is yes.
by the way.
Have it be that it's a plain text and it's just espousing the benefits and the inherent truth of freedom. And then if you have some idiots in the audience, you can have Kirk go, you know, we too worship the idea of freedom. You know, our words may be different, but the truth is the same. On our planet, we say we hold these truths to be self-evident that all, you know, then you have the same message, but you don't have Spock in a corner crying. Because somehow we have a planet that, I mean, there were no kings, and yet the Declaration of Independence was going to be directingly, like, it's going to be pointing out all the issues they had with the English king. I'm like, it makes no sense.
So without that let's say last 5 minutes or so blow off at the end of the episode, would you have given the Omega Glory a higher rating than you ended up giving?
Probably not by much. Like, it still was kind of a boring and dull episode, but I would have felt far less insulted. And the change I'm asking for would be a minor change, and it would fit more coherently in the story and maybe even hit the message better, where it's implied that the only truth is, you know, is the American way. But the Declaration, oh God, it's just.
Okay, it just occurred to me about another example.
Oh no, go ahead.
In second season that affected you perhaps even worse.
Oh, you mean bread and circuses?
No,
We're getting there.
No.
Oh wait.
Wolf in the Fold.
Oh Lord, yes, Wolf in the Fold.
You were doing fine with Wolf in the Fold until somebody mentioned Jack the Ripper.
Wolf in the Fold was fine. Like, they could have even kept the whole it's an invisible alien bullshit. Okay, fine. But just all of a sudden, it's Jack the Ripper. Like, it was so obvious that someone just wanted to do a Jack the Ripper episode.
Yeah, Robert
They had
Duck.
a Jack the Ripper script. That's it. They got a call from Gene. Gene is a little high, a little drunk. Didn't give a shit what he was reading. He just needed an episode. And guy was like, I got a Jack the Ripper. And Gene didn't even let him finish. He says, just send it in. We'll do it live. And they sent in this episode. And the guy's looking at it and going, what the fuck does it take place in early 20th century in the slums of Harlem? What are we doing here? What I mean, this is a Star Trek episode, and the writer's like, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you, but Gene just said to send it in, and the guy's looking at the script like, how the fuck are we going to shoot this? I don't know, just make a fucking planet. I don't know.
So you're completely not happy with the idea that there was an alien force wandering through the galaxy, visiting planets, and committing some murders and then moving on. And
Okay.
the fact that on its journey it arrived at Earth, and there, that's when the Jack the Ripper situation came about. No, let me finish.
All right.
Before it left to other planets, finally ending up on Argelius, which is where the Enterprise crew caught up with it. That you couldn't broaden your sense of disbelief just a tad to accept that?
I can if they established it more firmly earlier. Like, they literally, it's the last 10 minutes of the episode, and they're going through, the evidence of what happened. and they're connecting dots between this murder and that murder, and then all of a sudden it's, well, this matches Jack the Ripper, and then clearly it has to be an invisible alien force, and then there's maniacal laughter, and Jack the Ripper is jumping from body to body, and it's just no. If it was done uh
Smoothly.
more smoothly, like maybe Spock goes, I don't believe Scotty murdered this girl. It matches too closely with this murder that happened on another planet, you know, last year, blah, blah, blah. I'm looking into it, but I need more time. Jim, if you'd be so kind as just delay, get a lawyer, do objections, blah, blah. And you can have this courtroom drama while you have Spock in the background, like, okay, so this murderer is here, but previously he was on this planet under this alias. So previously from that, the murders match this planet under this alias, and he's basically just going back and back and back until finally he gets to Earth, and he comes to the realization, like, wait a minute, not only is this creature incredibly old, but has been doing this for many centuries, and there needs to be a way for it to move from person to person. So logically, the only thing that really makes sense is that somehow it's either inhabiting bodies or it's compelling, so that it's able to act and then leave a trail behind it, and then transport from planet to planet. And then he could come up with, holy crap, this is more than just Scotty having a drunken bender. This is actually a large alien entity. We're all doomed. I got to tell Jim about this. And he tells Captain Kirk about this. And then they come up with the idea of how to actually deal with it, rather than the last 5 minutes being Benny Hill going up and down the ship until they chase it into a transporter room and beam it into deep space. Like, they could have done it much better. And it wouldn't have taken that much of a rewrite. You could have kept the courtroom drama, which was actually, fairly well done, I guess.
You just gave me an idea as to how the episode maybe could not have been improved, but could have been made a bit more interesting.
Okay, how's that?
Have Spock be possessed by the alien?
No, because I see it be something along the lines of, I am too logical to allow myself to be controlled, da 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 da. No, the better one would have been Nurse Chapel.
Oh, now that would have been interesting.
Exactly, because then it's the murderer, the entity who obviously had a penchant for killing women, horrifically, because it's Jack the Ripper. All of a sudden now is a woman being able to experience, what would be like to, I guess, kill men. And how would the creature do that through the medium of Nurse Chapel? Would it use drugs? Would it sedate and then slowly slice to ribbons? They could have done some things with that. It could have been like a multi-part episode where
I was gonna say Uhura might have been another.
Yep, Uhura. Yep, okay. I can see Uhura.
But now I want to ask you, okay, what does the alien do if it should hit a planet which is monosexual? I mean, no different gender.
Keep going.
I mean, obviously it's concentrating on attacking a specific gender.
Right. I guess it would just keep going. Like, it doesn't have to get off the ship.
Okay.
I mean, like,
I don't even think it used the ship to get from place to place.
Well, if it doesn't need the ship to get from place to place, then teleporting it into deep space does nothing.
Well, they've set it on wide diffusion. Scattering it.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Air quotes, wide diffusion.
Yeah, and you got to be a real nerd in order to remember that detail.
Well, I mean, this was on syndication, so back in the
Yeah.
70s, TV wasn't that much better.
No.
See, yeah. Good TV only existed when I was around to perceive it. So,
Ow! 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 Ouch! Quick, 911.
but then we have
Oh.
so that was The Wolf in the Fold. But let's go back to another Gene Roddenberry piece of shit called Bread and Circuses, which was so
Yes, welcome to
earlier.
our Dump on Roddenberry episode.
It is. He shouldn't be writing. I'm beginning to suspect he's a shit writer. That like this whole thing is a fluke. I mean, he had one. He had Star Trek. He had the concept, and then he should just be locked away and not allowed anywhere close to it for Star Trek's own good. But we also have Bread and Circuses, which was almost beat for beat Patterns of Force, where instead of it being, surprise we're Nazis, it's surprise we're Romans. And I'm like, it was I guess a decent episode. Despite, again, we have members of Starfleet being complete and utter assholes, which, on the one hand, I appreciate how in the Next Generation there's very little instances of other Starfleet officers being complete assholes or stupid or evil, megalomaniacal, that sort of thing.
Will Riker.
Will Riker isn't megalomaniacal or evil or a bastard.
Well, he is stupid.
I wasn't aware that was a crime.
It should be.
Also, his stupidity was in the pursuit of getting laid, which is a noble pursuit, and stupidity is allowed. Ladies and gentlemen, let he who has never been stupid in the course of trying to get laid cast the first stone. Okay?
Yes, but not everyone is in charge of a ship on the line with several hundred people under their responsibility.
Just because Picard is content to command through 7 years of blue balls, even though he has a lovely redhead medical officer right there, clearly going, "Hello, Captain. How are you, Captain? Is there anything I can do for you, Captain?" Doesn't mean Riker.
I do house calls, Captain.
I mean, I had no real issues with Riker. Like, what are the welcome to Star Trek Original Series Season 2 retrospective. We're talking about William Riker. What was your issues with Riker?
Well, okay, his habit of jumping any female or relatively female bones that,
He asked permission first.
Okay, he asked permission to start fooling around on this planet full of androgynous people, getting involved with a sort of, I guess, woman, and stirring up an entire hornet's nest.
It happens.
Not often. Okay, well, I'll need to ask you about your love life when we're finished recording here.
I mean, if love life doesn't occasionally stir up a hornet's nest, you're not doing it right. I'm sorry. And also, he is the reason. He is the way for the writers to express sexuality in the Next Generation.
God
like,
help us.
if there's an honor issue that they want to talk about, it's going to be Worf. If it's a disability issue, it's going to be Geordi. If it's being a kid or learning how to become of age, it's going to be Shithead. And if it's going to be a woman in charge,
ensign shithead to you.
if it's going to be a woman in charge and authority, it's going to be Tasha Yar until she's killed off, and then I don't think they really explore that afterwards, do they? Oh well, whatever. But yes, I don't really have that issues with the issues I have that you have with Riker, apparently.
Apparently. But to try in a vain attempt to pull this back onto second
Bread
season.
and circuses, yes.
Well, Bread and Circuses, admittedly, it's not one of my favorites either. And I've said, before, they did kind of do this alternate Earth thing.
Way too many times.
Yeah, and it couldn't have been just a budgetary issue.
But it wasn't an alternate Earth. It was just another. It was a planet that was developing in the same vein as Earth, just Romans, modern time, complete with Latin. It's just once again we have Spock in the corner rocking back and forth, because they hand wave it away with this is somebody's theorem of mutual development where if the right conditions are met, then the pattern of development will match, which it's a hand wave, but it doesn't fly with me. But what
All
really?
right.
Go ahead.
No, in regards to the Latin, it occurs to me, could it have been the translators that they were using?
Why would it translate? Oh, because Latin is
the
already a foreign
closest
language.
Yes, but
there is a translation for Latin. It's called English.
Yeah, no, but the universal translator that the crew of the Enterprise uses is working on an algorithm that I believe takes the closest Earth equivalent and uses that. So, for instance, they call him the proconsul. That was the nearest thing the translator could come up with.
Instead of governor. That doesn't work. It would have gone with governor. Like, the universal translator that translates to something I don't understand is a shit translator. Because I know what a proconsul is. You know what a proconsul is. But can we guarantee everyone on the Enterprise or who is involved in the away team knows what a proconsul is? This is several centuries more distant now. And we have I don't see the Latin being
Latin or Roman history being heavily pushed
exactly.
at Starfleet Academy.
But the reason why this episode is complete shit, ladies and gentlemen, is that in the last 5 minutes we have Jesus pulled out of the ass. Because all throughout the episode we're talking about this new religion coming along, worshiping the sun, and to their credit, when they say the sun, I hadn't seen this episode ever, or if not ever, in years. So I thought, oh, they're going to worship the sun god. Okay, that's okay, cool, fine. These people look more primitive than the Romans, so maybe they're going back to a more primitive religion where naturally you would worship the sun. Okay, cool, I can see that. But in the last few minutes of the episode, Uhura is like, when they say the sun, they don't mean the big ball of fire in the sky. They mean the sun as in the Son of God, as in Christ, who was recently killed, and his message is spreading through the Roman Empire. And once again, we have Spock in a corner, curled up in a fetal position, crying. But also, their reaction is, oh, isn't that nice? How nice, how lovely. They're going to have their Jesus. Isn't that wonderful, ladies and gentlemen? We have a Jesus here on this planet. Well, let's go ahead and just warp out. We're going to warp out, not pay any attention to this planet. We're not going to, inquire. We're not going to hang around to see if Jesus comes out of the tomb. We're not going to beam down, take samples, because, samples of Jesus might be important.
Okay, this is something I wanted to elaborate on when we were discussing
the fact that Gene Roddenberry is a hack writer is what you wanted to elaborate on?
No, but I just wanted to say,
okay.
First off, I imagine that based on what they learned on that planet, a Federation cultural survey team would be sent to observe the planet surreptitiously, set up a...
I want you to pause 1 fucking minute and imagine that you are the fresh, doe-eyed bright bushy-tailed graduate of Starfleet fucking Academy, and you're going up to the commissar because your universal translator is just the one that's translating it closest to commissar because you're from Russia, whatever. I don't give a shit. And you ask, "Oh, sir, what is my assignment?" And they say, "Well, you are going to do a planetary cultural survey." And you go, "Oh, goody. Is it is it a colony of Klingons that we're going to, surreptitiously observe? Or how about the Tholians? Or how about this? No, you're gonna study asshole Romans, complete with gladiatorial fights on TV. And by the way, Jesus just died. So look into that for us. Thank you very much, and we'll check in on you in 5 years."
Okay, well, if I was a Starfleet officer who had the chops to, a predilection towards cultural surveys, I think I would enjoy such an assignment.
Oh my God. They had the Christ figure.
And?
Oh,
Isn't that?
I think if it was the Christ figure, they would be sending more than a cultural survey team.
Well, you don't want like a whole fleet of starships suddenly appear in the skies above that planet.
It's the Son of God.
Yes, it's the Son of God, and I think the Son of God, even though he is the Son of God, and this is why I've got thunder going on outside my window right now, I think the Son of God can be adequately studied and analyzed by a single ship full of competent sociologists and perhaps even various religious figures, not just on Earth, but on planets that also have some kind of belief system similar to Christianity. But that's only part of the main thing, is that if we accept for the moment,
Okay.
as I do, the existence of an omnipotent, all-powerful being, even on a level above that of the Q, I would be interested in things like this happening because it shows, the evolution of a common belief system throughout the known universe. We just happen to have our example a couple of thousand years before the Star Trek. The example occurred on this planet in bread and circuses.
Okay.
You don't find that acceptable, or at least interesting?
I feel okay. The reaction I got from the end of the episode wasn't that Kirk and crew lean back and say, "Oh, look, it's a Christ-like figure, a philosopher who preached a greater truth." They were, "Oh, hey, this is the Christ. Merry Christmas, everybody, and Happy Easter. This is the true Son of God. Let's just be like." They should be hanging around the planet until multiple ships can come in. I'm like, this isn't the gravity of the situation doesn't match the message that they were trying to send, in my opinion.
Okay, you mean the episode, or just the way things were happening in the episode?
The end of the episode.
Okay, it could. I think. Well, maybe it could have been better written. I will.
Oh, it's Gene
grant that.
Roddenberry writing, so that's the clear obvious. Yes.
But we have, as you said, the Christ, not necessarily our Christ, but the Christ for that particular planet.
Also, now we have gods that are just divvied up between planets now. Okay, all right.
No. We have the one God.
Well, one God.
But the mortal representative on a particular planet, whether it be Jesus or Balnamba Rabi, is the mortal representation, the mortal offspring of God on a planet.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead.
I don't see it. I mean, it's okay. So you have the idea in I forget which one, Timothy or Luke, or whatever, where God says there are many fishes in the sea, and you could take that to mean like different people on the planet Earth, or different aliens on different planets, probably a mixture of both, whatever. But it's this. It's not a Christ figure for every planet. It's the same Christ. You see what I'm
Yes,
saying?
but you can't. Okay, but you can't have our Jesus just wandering around on a planet that, for instance, has 5 times Earth normal gravity and a methane atmosphere.
No, it
It
doesn't.
would have.
No, my point doesn't rely on that at all. It's
Okay, go ahead.
they were the episode ends with them believing, in my opinion, that that was the Christ. I mean, it's our Christ, a Christ, is the Son of God. So they decide to leave. Like that doesn't make any sense.
Okay, it's the leaving that bothers you.
It's the leaving, yes. Like
Well, they would have to. They'd have to go and report back to Starfleet, and then
there's something called subspace communications.
Yes, but they probably were in the process of. I mean, Uhura just dropped the bomb on this, so they drift away from the planet as it's all settling in.
What do you mean
I'm
drift
pretty
away?
sure-
They're in
No,
orbit.
no. Let me finish.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that immediate message and/or report, the log entries and stuff, were sent to both Starfleet and the Federation High Council.
Okay, yes. And imagine the Federation High Council getting this message that the Christ has been found on a, the evidence of the Christ has been found on a Roman shithole planet on these coordinates, and we're going to move on to transporting wheat to the Beta colony. I hope we don't get any tribbles. Love and kisses, Captain Kirk.
Okay, I think you're oversimplifying the situation.
I think you're oversimplifying the situation. You're the one going, they're just going to send a message, and they're just going to send a survey crew to survey Christ.
It's not just sending a message, it's the import of the message. I would presume that the discoveries made on the planet in bread and circuses would be one of the most significant studies ever produced by a Starfleet vessel in many a year. Or just have to be grateful that John Gill had been machine gunned to death, or else they would have sent him to that planet, and would have really opened up a can of worms.
Well, we're already opening a can of worms, though. Like, I mean, they're going to be leaving, and they're going to lose precious data because Uhura's been listening into the communications.
All right, but what did you expect the crew of the Enterprise to do? Just remain in orbit?
Remain in orbit, continue surveying, grab up evidence, blood. Like, was he crucified on a cross? Was he stabbed with a spear? Did he have a drink with his friends the night before? Like, all kinds of stuff.
All right, but while they're doing this, maybe over the course of the next 2 weeks, another planet somewhere in their sector, is dying from a plague that could have been saved if they had arrived there. I mean,
I'm sure Jesus will attend. I mean, he's obviously real.
Boy, your uncle
Yes.
Corby is a deacon in the Catholic faith now. I should send a copy of this recording to him.
That's fine. He can watch the episode and he can go, "What the fuck," with me. This is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen. This is the world's shittiest writing.
But
they could have. Okay, they could have.
All right, what could they all have learned if they had stayed like a year in orbit around the planet?
All right. Here's maybe this will help explain my issue. The whole episode could have been salvaged to at least a somewhat decent episode, maybe not good, if instead of it's the Son of God, the Christ figure, they could have just simply said it's the Son of God, and Kirk goes, "You mean someone like Christ? You mean and Uhura could go, yes, it's not one for one. The miracles they're talking about don't match up with our miracles. Some of the lessons are tailored to their society, like more Roman instead of old Jewish parables. They could have done it like that. but instead they go right from the sun god to it is the Christ. You see what I'm saying?
Yes. Um, but I'm try am I th- I'm trying to simplify the process of further discovery. They could have put up a
See,
sophisticated monitoring satellite.
yeah, okay.
Um, I
What I'm
mean,
trying, what I'm
you
saying
wouldn't expect
is
them to go back to the planet to
no.
beam down.
What I'm saying, well, what I'm saying is that if it was this figure is like the Christ. This is a philosopher who, like in our world, uh, had ideas that were radical, preached brotherly love, and was killed in the process. Oh, look, that's amazing. We should really study this. You know, this is very similar to Earth mythology. This would be a very excellent opportunity to study and see how it develops. Then I'm
And
like,
I agree,
then
but
I'm
they have
perfectly
to.
acceptable with let's get another ship, let's send a probe, etc., etc. But they don't do that. They're like, this is the Christ.
You're not going to presume that shortly after the episode fades out, there's going to be discussion and they decide, even before they inform Starfleet of this, that this must be studied in greater detail, and a carefully planned and organized system of study and
Okay.
research needs to be developed.
All right. All right. All right. Let me. Okay. You're wondering about your day. All of a sudden, you find out Jesus is a car mechanic at the local auto shop, and you have certain proof. This is Jesus, the Jesus, and he's an auto mechanic at this body shop. Like, would you study him from afar, or would you be asking him questions?
I wouldn't just get right in his face.
Well, you're not going to get right into his face, but I mean, would you leave? Would you say, "Huh, that's interesting. I wonder how that happened. I'll guess I'll come back in a few weeks and maybe I'll ask around or, you know, do some looking at the DMV driver's license. Maybe does Jesus know how to drive? Like what car does he drive?
Hi, I'm Jesus, and
Hi, I'm Jesus.
that new Subaru is really the bomb.
Uh,
Which is what I think would probably happen if Jesus was here today. But if they have these suspicions, if they have this sort of interest, I would want to develop a program of research and study, carefully polished like a jewel.
okay.
I just don't want to jump right in.
I think the issue is with the writer, Gene, Buddy. Uh, the original intent was to make it a Christ-like figure, in which case everything makes sense. You know, oh look, it's a Christ-like figure. We should probably look into this. Send a message to Starfleet. We'll get a survey crew here, and drop a probe. We'll do all of our polished studying, etc., etc. And somewhere in the process, Gene, Buddy, thought he had a brilliant idea where instead of it being Christ-like, it is the Christ, but didn't change anything else in the script. Which, I mean, it didn't make. It's the most important find in Starfleet history, apparently. That it's
I
never
think,
mentioned ever again.
well, say in the midst of a red alert situation where they're fighting off a fleet of, Klingon warships, a couple of officers look at each other and say, "Hey, by the way, I wonder how that Christ research is going
Yeah,
on."
really. Or what happens if the Klingons were involved in this?
Okay, I'm trying to think. There is a moment somewhere in the Next Generation where um, some entity speaks to the crew of the Enterprise, and everyone is hearing it in their own native language.
Yeah.
You have something like that occurring, I believe, in third season here, but uh, but perhaps if this Christ entity, if this phenomenon occurred on the Klingon homeworld
Right.
back in its history, it would have been. They would have somehow have fit their Christ into the Klingon way of life.
Would it be Kalis? Like is
Interesting, because
Kalis the Klingon Christ?
Because we will be meeting a simulacrum of Kalis in the third season, and no one in the Enterprise crew makes any kind of connection.
But then again, I think in the Klingon mythology, Kalis was mortal and he just killed the gods.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But,
anyway.
But I do agree with the fact that as important as this should have been, it wouldn't have hurt to throw in a few throwaway references in later episodes.
Right, yeah.
Have an entire section of Federation Cultural Studies devoted to the study of unified spirituality.
There we go. Or, have a Christmas episode.
I read a story about a Christmas episode on board the Enterprise, and I can assure you there wasn't very much that was spiritual about it. I wanted to go just briefly before we left this. Have you ever seen a play or read the play by an author named Bruce J. Friedman? It's called Steambat.
That's the one where God is the janitor and the.
God is a Puerto Rican steam bath attendant.
It's a very pretentious play. Yes, I remember.
Oh, I thought it was very interesting, and entertaining. But I can see how some people would consider it pretentious
because it was pretentious.
But it provided some interesting thoughts. One of the main characters absolutely had trouble accepting a Puerto Rican steam bath attendant as God, or as Christ. Just like you have your version of Christ on some world being an auto mechanic. I mean, our Christ was a carpenter.
Exactly, which is why I went with auto mechanic.
Okay. Anyway, before we start passing the plate around for and have the final hymn before services are let out.
Oh yeah.
Do you have? Before I get to the big question, here's another question: was there any particular performance in second season that really caught your eye as being excellent? Now this is scene.
Oh, yeah, it was Amok Time. It was the matriarch. Just the fucking gravity she holds. And I mean, let's take a few steps back. This is kind of silly, okay? This is some of that TV silliness where Spock has his 7-year blue ball itch, and he needs to go get laid. And there's this whole ceremony. I mean, she's carried up by Vulcan male attendants, and she's dressed to the nines. But
she's got this great accent.
She's got the great accent, but she just sells it.
Yes.
Like there are some actors who you could give them any script, it doesn't matter. They will do their absolute best to sell it. And I feel that Amok Time would have been a much poorer episode if she did not present that the seriousness of it. Like if go ahead.
Celia Lovsky, I think she was one of the most renowned actors or actresses that have appeared in the Star Trek franchise. She had her literally had her act together. Mm-hmm. That's why my favorite part of Soylent Green is when the Edward G. Robinson character goes to the Central Exchange, and Celia Lovsky is playing the head librarian there, and that's what made she, sold that character as well as she did here in Amok Time. But I think that getting Celia Lovsky was a definite plus.
Definitely, yeah. But yeah. So,
And
what in your opinion then was the best actor or performance?
William Wyndham in the Doomsday Machine, and it's especially that scene where he just takes over control of the Enterprise. He's dismissed, Spock saying, "Go away, boy, you're bothering me."
Mm.
And he's sitting down in Kirk's chair, and he's slowly turning around, giving the bridge crew the look. like any of you pussies want to try and knock me off this chair, go ahead. But that just always stuck with me. For a scene, especially that's not dependent on special makeup or special effects, Wyndham sold it, and
It's
he
the
didn't
Captain
really.
Ahab stare.
Yes, exactly. That's very good.
It's like
That's
there's
the best
certain roles
description.
that I want to see every actor play, or they should try and do Captain Ahab, they should try and do the Joker, uh, and that would give you a really interesting take on to how they play and how they act. But
Okay. Get an audition session set up and say, okay, you're going to do two. You're going to play two characters in this audition. One will be Captain Ahab. One will be the Joker. Just to get the reaction on the people's faces would be.
actually, oh wait, okay. What I would do is you bring the actor in. I'd be the auteur director, the Kubrick who makes them do 200 takes, breaks them down, but I give them fantastic, whatever. So they all want to impress me to get their bona fides. So when the actor comes in, I say, uh, over there is a costume design. Is a costume. They have a very large wardrobe. So I want you to go in there and I want you to make yourself into Captain Ahab and give a speech to the quad and tell them we're going to hunt the white whale. And then I want you to go back and then get a Joker outfit, any Joker outfit that you want. Like it could be straight up normal clothing or ostentatious, whatever. And come out and do a Joker monologue.
Yes.
Yeah. And we'll see how that goes. Yeah.
Okay, now for the big question.
Okay.
Uh, Best episode of second season, in your opinion? And I
Oh.
believe, would you have also picked Amok Time or a different episode?
I did really, really like Amok Time. But if you're going to ask me what's the episode I had the most fun with, it would be a piece of the action. Like I understand it is we're on a planet, and in this course of a few years, they went from one civilization to complete 1920s Chicago gangster, from the holy Bible of the Chicago gangsters. It's so delightfully fun, and
I
I can't
yeah,
help but love it.
I lost a bet with myself. I would have bet that you would have picked I Mud.
No, nope.
Huh.
I like
Okay,
I like Mud, but uh, I'm not that into like for instance I like Q, but I don't like every Q episode.
no, I seriously I don't either. In fact, other than his first appearance, the only other Q episode I really like is the one where the Borg first appear.
Well, you didn't like All Good Things, the series finale.
All right, I'll stretch a point for that, but not as much as I like the other ones that I mentioned.
Oh well, okay, yes,
Okay, now this is one I think is going to give you more of a headache.
all right.
Worst second season episode, or
Um,
maybe the Omega Glory after hearing all you've said about it so
it's the
far.
Omega. It's Omega Glory is a good. Let me just do a quick look. Da 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 da. Da, da, da. I'm guessing it's probably the Omega Glory. I might want to do Wolf in the Fold, but Wolf in the Fold was all right up until uh, the ending. Also, the Omega Glory had the sin of just being dull. which a lot of these episodes were just kind of dull.
Uh,
It's almost a bigger sin than being bad. It's like you can be bad, but at least be a little entertaining in the process. And some of these just couldn't even get to that uh, level. So, what's your worst episode of season 2?
I'm going to make this simple. I'm going to go ahead and go with the Omega Glory.
Okay, all right. Well, ladies
And
and
my
gentlemen,
favorite
the Omega fucking
and my
glory.
and my favorite episode is the Doomsday Machine.
Yeah, that's a good one. Uh, that is a really good one, actually. But I
Yes,
had more fun with a piece of the action.
well, that's
It's
the
like,
important thing. What entertains us?
yeah, I mean, it just looked like everyone on the set of a piece of the action were just they were barely containing a smirk. Like, I cannot fucking believe we are doing this. This is stupid,
Oh,
but it's fun as hell. Hey kid, you want a piece of the action? I want a piece of the action. All right then, go trick that guard over there so we can get to the building. Sir, are you actually putting that child at risk? I mean, they have Tommy guns. Yes, shut up, Spock. Don't worry. We have a Christ-like figure due on this planet any minute now. Everything will be taken care of.
you can set your calendar.
You can say December 25th. This is December 23rd right now.
All right. Well, I was just saying, considering how much time we spent discussing bread and circuses in this episode,
Yeah.
I would have thought that would have rated some sort of a higher. I don't think any other episode has generated as much discussion to date as bread and circuses.
Probably because the writing itself was done so poorly that it has two discongruent messages or concepts where they find the actual Christ but are treating it as if it's a Christ-like figure just worthy of maybe sending a survey ship when Starfleet gets around to it. It feels like if they simply took the step to say, instead of, oh, it's the Christ-like figure, it's the Christ, it's amazing, instead of going something along the lines of, oh, well, this is fantastic. Most cultures eventually come with a philosopher who starts preaching brotherly love. This is an excellent opportunity to study this. Let's send a survey ship. They could have kept their message more believable, I guess.
Okay, well, I disagree with you. I don't think Starfleet eventually got to it, quote unquote. I think that once the news arrived, they said, "Oh, quick, get a ship together. It's time to saddle up little Missy and ride south." But we agree to disagree.
That's well. I mean, there was a. I've never actually seen the movie, so I don't know what it's about. But I just remember the trailer. So forgive me.
Which
Here
movie?
Okay, it's called The Judas Project, and I saw.
I think your mother has that on DVD.
So I remember seeing the trailer for it once, and if I recall, the gist of the trailer was they somehow got a sample of Christ's blood from, I guess, the Shroud of Turin, whatever, and they decide to clone him. And in cloning him, he escapes, and the final scene is basically the Christ-like figure, or the Christ in this case, like on a hill, and I think it was like an Apache helicopter just rises up from the hill and flashes him with high beams and starts aiming guns and shit at him. Like, if a government is aware of the Christ, they are going to go after him.
Yes, I think that has to be sort of a given with any manifestation of the Christ.
Right.
In other words, you're saying that you cannot have a Christ without a crucifixion.
That's interesting. Well, yes, true.
It's a given for the Christ.
Right. And so like they would go there to, like, it would be an interesting study on like the idea of the cyclical nature of inevitability, where they go to the planet to quote unquote study the Christ, but all of a sudden the teachings, they start rocking the boat. So like, would Christ ever approve of phasers and photon torpedoes on a ship? No, he would not. So what if the teachings of the Federation of the Star Trek Christ was basically disarming the Starfleet as a whole, making them vulnerable then to the Romulans and the Klingons. So you have a faction who are trying to disarm, and then you have Starfleet like going, we can't disarm. There are fucking Klingons out there. So they have to, quote unquote, deal with the Christ. Like, they could have had this story.
Like the song goes, this Jesus must die, for those of you who've seen Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yes. But yeah. So.
No, but when you started out talking about the business about taking a piece of, cloning the Prince of Darkness or something.
That's another good movie, yeah.
Yeah, but I suddenly had that line, you are receiving this broadcast as a dream. We are transmitting from the year. That
is so fucking creepy. Like the whole movie itself.
I not want us to watch that.
The movie. Okay, we're talking about Prince of Darkness in our Star Trek season 2 retrospective later. So anyway, John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness. The movie itself was not that scary. Like the mirror, the zombies, all of that. It's kind of schlocky, entertaining, not really scary. The dream sequences were terrifying.
I remember watching you just about climbing up the walls when we had an opportunity to watch that together.
Yeah.
Dream sequences.
Nope. No. Because he couldn't quite figure out what was being said at first. It was kind of garbled. It's a completely different video format than the rest of the movie. And then the message starts becoming clearer and clearer and clearer. And then the movie ends and you get the final dream message and you're like, oh, well, fuck. I guess that's it.
Oh.
But yeah, do you have any other thoughts or concerns with season 2?
Just that, from the point of further on in history as I am in regards to Star Trek, yes, I can see where the rot is beginning to settle in. I mean, this happens more or less with a great many other television series, not just science fiction, but others. However, it's going to be, I think, interesting and really a bit concerning and thought-provoking to watch the process continuing on towards its end in third season.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some episodes in third season I particularly am interested in hearing your opinions on.
Which one in third season?
In third season, and the children shall lead immediately comes to mind. Let's see. Oh, either one of the two Roddenberry episodes.
Turnabout Intruder.
And I know there was another one.
I'm looking at it. I'm not seeing it.
The Savage Curtain.
Savage Curtain? Let's see.
Yes.
What? Oh, yeah, okay. Story by Gene Roddenberry. Okay.
And then, of course, I want to get to The Way to Eden. Just to kind of sit back and hear you go off
jam.
Or just to hear you pretty much go off your entire spindle.
Probably.
But yeah, and anyway, and also those of you out there who have your own particular opinions about Star Trek's second season or Christ moving from planet to planet in particular and stuff like that, feel free to contact us at lostpodcastoftitans@gmail.com.
Yep. Feel free to let us know how wrong we are, or how right we are, or what your thoughts and opinions were on season 2 of the original series.
Yes.
And next week we will be diving back. It'll be Spock's Brain, season 3. God help us.
Yeah, if you look at the Wikipedia entry on the third season of Star Trek, you really don't get a lot of detailed plot descriptions. Just a line or two, and that's it.
Captain Kirk hosts a spoiled princess who must bring peace to a star system at war.
Actually, I consider that a fairly good one.
Oh, Lord.
Maybe not great, but watchable.
But have fun, everybody. We'll see you later.
Okay, and behave.
Bye-bye.